Do this now. We've done this before. The stripe is not here anymore.
That's a good thing.
Our happy cat, the stripe.
She's not happy.
You love her. Everybody loves Stripe, right?
Why not?
She's mean. She's a mean girl.
Okie dokie. I'm so glad you're on tonight. And Jennifer Kirk, Michelle, that's going to be great. Who else do we have? Hey. Look, I know. I always say that. How did all these people get down here? This is awesome. Phones are on silent.
Phones are on silent.
Give us a countdown, and
Here we go.
let's present a good show tonight. We have a lot of neat stuff to talk about, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, stopwatch is running, ready on the countdown. Right?
All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you.
These are anyway.
Further support is provided by Microengineering, keeping you on track with quality products for 55 years. Check out their website at www.microengineering.com. Order from your local dealer or order direct by calling 1-800-462-6975. And by American Limited Models, the relentless pursuit of accuracy. Check out their website at AmericanLimitedModels.com.
Additional support for What's Neat This Week is brought to you by SoundTraxx. Two-time winners of Model Railroader Magazine's Reader's Choice Award for Favorite Sound Decoder and also miscellaneous sound with our sound card decoder. Now be sure to check out what all the fuss is about at SoundTraxx.com and also check out our YouTube videos at SoundTraxx Videos on YouTube. Now, as a special thank you to What's Neat video watchers, we're going to offer free shipping, so be sure to use the checkout code WNTWFREE for free shipping on your purchase at SoundTraxx.com.
Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast. This is the What's Neat This Week, show number 155 for May 8th, 2021. I'm your host, Ken Patterson, the host of the What's Neat show at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine, and I feel like I say that all the time. But I don't have that June video done yet, but the April video is still running because Joe Fugate has elected to start the videos the middle of the month, around the 15th. And in that April video, Ashley and Michelle open it up with that part where they point at the camera and say, What's Neat starts right now. That's awesome. Folks are going to love that. I love your enthusiasm. Okay, tonight we got a lot of great people on Skype and in the room, and I'm going to start over here in the end because I love starting with you, Michael Budde. Hey, Mike.
Hey, everybody.
Mike Budde brought some amazing models. We can't believe how much stuff you get done every single week, new material. I've got my lovely, amazing wife, Michele Patterson, sitting next to me right here. I've got Steve Mantia in the room tonight. Look at that. Hey, Steve.
Hello, how are you?
And on the end, we've got James Regier, who's been diligently working on a 3D printing project, which I find quite fascinating. In Skype land, all the way from the UK, I've got Jennifer Kirk. Hey, Jenny.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good sound. And George Bogatiuk from Durango, Colorado. Hey, George.
Howdy, everybody.
Yes. Daniel's got your shirt on. Keep calm and play with trains, George, from SoundTraxx, that purple shirt. Thank you, Daniel, for running camera for us tonight. We love it when you do that. And good job last week, Campbell Rice on camera. Thank you very much for that. That was a good show with Robert Steers. And I know, Jenny, you know Robert Steers.
I do, yes. Yeah, he sent me a whole load of those tank cars over for review probably a few months ago, and they are absolutely stunning.
Yeah, you made a great 28-minute video on your website about those tank cars, and they are very impressed with your work. Plus, you also set up something with Sheffields. You set up a distribution for them?
Yeah, I put them in touch with a company called Rails of Sheffield to stock them in the UK. So they are now available to buy in the UK from Rails of Sheffield.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I know, right? That's really cool. Okay, so tonight I know Michelle and Jennifer did a little preliminary practice, which I never do. because I just think I can wing it. But girls, what did you come up with? You came up with a lot of interesting subject matter.
Well, Jenny has been busy. She's busy. I'm so happy to have you on the show because I just love her. I love everything she does. But Jenny, you started a new job at UK-based DCC Concepts, and you do sales and social media, YouTube. So tell us about your new job and also the distributorship that they have in the U.S.
Yeah, I started at the beginning of April with DCC Concepts. I was taken on primarily to handle building their YouTube video content, also dealing with social media, and I work in the sales office. And they've got a great range of products focusing on primarily things like layout control. They do power boosters, but also the really, really cool little products that really, really help, like point motors, baseboard alignment dowels, ground signals, wiring, LEDs. And it's just a great company to work for. They're distributed in the US through Heartland Hobbies, so you can get them in the US as well.
Wow, Jenny, congratulations. You've got a job in the industry, and we've talked about that. You've always wanted that in addition to your video show.
Yeah, so it's finally amazing to be able to do my hobby as my job, which has really been the long-term goal.
I'll ask you that question in a few years if it's still your favorite. Well, it still is mine, don't get me wrong.
And it's like model trains. No, I can't do this anymore.
And you sent me a picture of a wagon that you commissioned through a Cura scale. And
that's correct.
Yeah,
yes.
And it is it's modeled for your YouTube channel and specifically for the Monday Club.
That's correct. Yes, it's one of the things that we're doing the Monday Club. A lot of people always ask if I was going to do a special, unique wagon that kind of tied in with that. So I was talking with a manufacturer they're actually based in Ireland, but they do a lot of UK outline products. They're called a Cura scale. And I took the plunge and I commissioned my own wagon. They're due for delivery in Q3 this year. Right. But I sent over to you the graphics, what it's going to look like. And it's based on the MDV coal wagon, which is a type of coal wagon that we had running in the UK up until probably about the late 1980s. And it's a prototypically accurate livery, but it's been embellished with graffiti. And the graffiti is my channel logo, so it ties in that way, but it's still a prototypically authentic wagon that people can run on their layouts.
That's awesome. We've got a bunch of wagons on the table here. Look at that. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, 5 different paint schemes in wagons. Who can they order those from? Who remembers the website?
Value Trains USA.
Value Trains USA. Yeah, rock and roll. Thank you for that. Well, that's a great thing to help promote your show and keep people excited. And I can tell you, we've sold an awful lot of these wagons.
Yeah, I must admit, I was actually inspired by seeing those wagons of yours when you first interviewed me. And that was kind of where the spark of actually thinking, yeah, I could do something like that came from. So thank you for inspiration.
I want to bring Smiley George in on this because, George, you know what? It is your hobby and it is also your profession. Is there any advice that you would give Jennifer now that she's new to making her hobby her profession?
The best thing I can offer is make sure you dedicate time for the hobby and don't try to mix it too much. Because for me, I do sales and I work along also with the marketing side for the SoundTraxx. But when I'm working on my models, I'm not selling a widget. I'm actually just working on my trains. So try to make sure you separate those a little bit so that way you still have your escape, so to speak, without making it your daily job.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Nice.
And Jenny's also photographing her new layout for the UK magazine Railway Modeler.
Is that right?
She is.
Yeah. And again, I was taking my cues from you, Ken. You put up a picture on social media. You were photographing some boxcars and you were doing it out in your garden. So you had the natural skyline. And I just thought it made such a great photograph with the natural light, a real sky backdrop that I took the layout, which is going to be featured sometime later this year, hopefully in Railway Modeler. And I just took it out up onto the moors and got those kind of shots with what was actually quite an angry leaden sky. It was in between rain showers. And we put it on the roof of the car and just photographed it nice and low so you couldn't see that it wasn't part of the landscape. And it just created this great natural looking backdrop to the model.
There's something magic about it, really. I mean, watching the model blend into the real scenery and everything else, yeah.
It's magic. It is. It is. Bounce light, all the other variables, except for when you're shooting here, you're shooting at nighttime generally.
Yeah.
I don't think you've done a daytime shoot ever, have we?
I did with those Santa Fe war bonnets here. I guess a little over a month ago. We were here just at evening and got some of the land across the Mississippi as well. So I've gotten some stuff, but not too much.
How about that?
Can I ask her one more thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean,
All right, so
you're in charge here.
all right, so Jenny, you were contacted by the Great Model Railway Challenge for advice because they're doing one now in, is it the Netherlands that they're doing it?
Yes,
Can you talk them into a U.S. one?
Sorry?
Talk them into a United States version of that.
Yeah, I think a US one would be amazing for the hobby. But what's actually happened is that a TV company in the Netherlands has basically bought the rights to make their own version. So I was contacted literally just today by one of the teams looking for advice. So it's great to see that the format is kind of broken out from the UK and there's local versions starting to be made. The UK version was already syndicated across Scandinavia, showed it, and I think it's been shown in Australia as well. So, it's really done a great service for the hobby, not just for dispelling stereotypes of modelers, but also getting younger people interested in the hobby, which is so important.
Oh my gosh, George, you'd be a great moderator for that show. You know it. You've got that good voice.
He does have a great voice.
I try to.
He does.
I know, rock and roll.
And I was talking to our buddy Lionel Strang today, and we were talking about, you talk about good voice. I was talking to him. We were watching the Leafs and the Canadians tonight on television because, of course, his Leafs are going to make it to the playoffs. Right. Chances are my Dallas Stars are about to fall out. So we were razzing each other a little bit. But we were talking about it because of the announcers and everything, and they always have this announcing voice out there. So it's really cool. You got to have that voice. You got to have that persona.
That's right, yeah.
I miss those great big microphones.
By the way, Lionel says hi to everybody in the gang.
Hey, Lionel.
Hey, Lionel.
Hi, Lionel.
Lionel's going to be on the 4th week of this month. You want to be on with Lionel?
Okay.
Sure, I'll be brave. And
Michelle
be on
loves
with
to be
Lionel.
on with Lionel. Everybody loves Lionel Strang because he makes us laugh. How about that donut on the last show?
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
The donut. Now, Steve Mantia, I know you're sitting at the table because this coming up weekend is your train show.
Yes, it is, May
and this
15th.
This was your attempt at getting things back to normal for us. All your tables are sold out, and hopefully you have a crowd. Daniel Coombs says he's going.
Yes,
Who else said they were going down there? Campbell Rice is going.
I'm planning on going, yeah.
I hope so. We're hoping to have a very good
Absolutely.
crowd.
And when I wake up after noon or somewhere, I'll get down there too and maybe shoot some B-roll so we can talk about it on the show.
There you go.
Because I'm still in that 4 o'clock in the morning schedule. But Steve, tell us about the dates and where that show is so we can have a lot of folks come down and greet and meet us.
It's May 15th of this year at the Merrimack Elks Lodge. That's 1515 Miller Road in Imperial, Missouri, 63052. Doors open to the public at 10 a.m. We're going to go to 3 o'clock. And we're hoping to have a very good crowd in here. And my dealers' vendors' tables were sold out about a month ago.
Wow.
And I've had a number of other people call and want to get tables, and unfortunately had to tell them no.
No, next year you can have a bigger show and we could sell it out because we can sell out a bigger show.
Well, we'll try that. This is first one. Let's see how this works
There's
out.
definitely a lot of
This has been enough of a chore to try to do, but it's exciting because you get all the last loose ends down now of how to get the table set up and getting all your things ready. And Glenda and I have been really trying to go make our lists and make sure we have everything checked and everything's all done so we can get everything taken care of.
A lot of pent-up demand for these shows this
Yes,
year,
there is.
especially.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. Daniel's eating gummy bears instead of running camera. That's awesome how he can do three things at once. And Campbell Rice has got a new gadget tonight, a gimbal.
Actually, if I can jump in really quickly, you talk about train shows. I'll be at one in Cheyenne, Wyoming next weekend as well. So Cheyenne, Wyoming, the Sherman Hill Train Show, May 15th and 16th, so Saturday and Sunday in Cheyenne, Wyoming. So we invite everybody to come out there, come say hi, and let's get back to some semblance of normalcy.
Yeah. Are you
Normal
coming
train
out
shows.
to the RPM meet here at the beginning of August?
At this moment, I'm planning to. It's July 30th and 31st,
Right.
I
Oh,
believe
end of
it is.
July,
So at
right,
this moment,
yes.
I'm planning to be there. Yes, sir.
Good.
Right. That's a
Can't
scheduling
wait to
conflict.
see you guys.
That's sort of a conflict for our show. It looks like we're going to be doing 5 What's Neat shows in May. That's going to be a long stretch of shows because the RPM meet is the 31st, which is the week we usually don't do a show because at that point I'm trying to get August video completed.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's
that's
going to be crazy.
July 30th and 31st.
Right.
Yeah.
So George, I was about to go out to you and ask you what's going on out there. I know you're working on a beautiful 440, but tell me about SoundTraxx and how things are going at work.
Well, we've been really busy, which is really good. We can't thank you guys enough for keeping projects going, buying decoders and putting them in. So, we've been really going really well, and we've been able to keep those demands up and fill those stores and sell decoders. So it's been really great. Thank you guys very much for it. Ken, I know we've had some people use our discount code here, the WNTW free, to get free domestic shipping on your orders at SoundTraxx.com, or you can buy from our retailers around the country. We actually have some announcements that are going to be coming out here in the very, very near future. I have one of them sitting here in front of me. Unfortunately, the other one is sitting on my desk. I didn't get a chance to get in there today to get a sample of it, but I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but this is the Next 18, and these are going to be the new Next 18 plug-in decoders that are good for N-scale and some small HO models. That little plug right there just snaps right in and plugs it right into the model. So really excited. This is one of the prototypes. So these will be announced sometime here in the next week or two, along with a Bachmann HO. It's called a BH1. It's going to be a Tsunami 2 upgrade for your Bachmann sound value decoders. So if you have a locomotive that you have that has a sound value, this will be a direct drop-in replacement, wire-for-wire connections, already pre-regulated for LEDs. So it'll be just a direct drop-in replacement. And that's going to be the BH1 is going to be for all the diesels. And then we have a BH2 coming as well, which will be for the steam locomotives as well in the sound value line. So this will give you the chance to upgrade it. And these announcements are going to be made here, like I said, within the next week or so to the public. They're going to start shipping to retailers very, very soon. So be sure you're subscribed to our newsletter and our YouTube channel, because I'm going to do a decoder installation video with both of those coming up here very quickly.
That's really cool. How's the 440 coming?
It's, I was hoping I was have everything ready to go to show it off today, but unfortunately I didn't. I ran into a little bit of a hiccup, and so I'm finishing it up. I should have it ready to take with me next weekend when I go to Cheyenne is my goal. But I basically had to strip it down. I had a hiccup in the motor that developed, so I had to take it back down and find it. So it was already pretty much done and ready to go for debut, and I can't have a locomotive hiccuping and hesitating on the track.
You brought another 440 here, and we showed it off on a What's Neat video. Are you making a What's Neat video on what you've done to this one? Because I know you had James Regier printing parts for you, and you're doing a bang-up job. This engine's got like a walkway around the side of the wheels of the engine. It's really unusual the way you're designing that. Yeah,
I have some pictures from a friend of ours called, his name's John Ott, and he does a lot of the research and stuff for that, Civil War era type locomotives up to like 1895. And he did some lithographs based on some of the drawings and photographs of the era based on that locomotive. Yeah. And this is what's called an ankle rail that you're talking about. And instead of being up above the wheels on the side of the boiler, it's actually down next to the wheels. With the handrail not extended on the boiler, but kind of extended out on stanchions. So it's kind of a really different approach. But this is going to be a lot more work and effort put into the Bachmann 440 upgrade than the one I did for you last time.
Now, you were doing all 3 locomotives for the the Great Locomotive Chase, is that right, or just the general?
At this moment in time, it's just the general. I have the Texas already, and that's going to go through this upgrade and add some more detail parts, things like that. And then there's also a locomotive called the Yona, which will be another project, and I got to figure that out because it's got a different type of boiler, so I may have to do some scratch building. But it's going to be a fun project, and like I said, I'm looking forward to sharing it with everybody.
Yeah.
How about that? I'm going to let a cat out of a bag here. Hey, Jennifer, there's a group of people that are going to contact you and see if we can get you in this country for the RPM meet here in St. Louis.
That would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
Thank
heads
you
up.
very much.
If you can schedule that out with your time, I think we might be able to put something together. Can Jenny stay at the house?
Oh, let me think. I don't know. No, I think I got a tent out in the yard. Of course she can stay in.
Well, that's okay. We have a garden railroad out there. She'll love it, right?
What month is it?
Yeah,
What month is it
I'll
in?
be good.
That's
What month?
July 31st of this year.
July 30th and 31st.
Right, Friday and Saturday.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, Michelle's going to throw one to Jennifer, but first let's see what Mike Budde's got on the table, because everybody loves it when you're here, Mike. And last week they loved that new pickup truck you showed off for the first time.
Yeah.
And the N-scale building, how about that?
Yeah. I've got the same blue truck I bought last week. I brought a yellow one, looked just like it. That's what this one is now. I painted the yellow one, and I redid the grill a little bit to
nice.
improve it, and put my own bed on the back of it. Then this one next to it is a 3D print of a 1978 Chevy. This is a 73 from Classic Metal Works. And I understand that they're going to do different versions of the grills to do different years all through the 70s. So
Hold on, back up, because I always hear what you say in the edit,
Yeah.
and it's sitting at the table. I usually don't. They're doing 3 different front ends of this truck, grills.
yeah, they did a
This model
station
company
wagon
is.
earlier, Buick station wagon, and they're doing like 73 through 77.
Who makes that pickup truck?
Classic Metal Works.
Classic
Oh, yeah.
Metal Works. So is it metal or plastic?
No, they're all plastic now.
So they've kind of converted from metal alloy models to plastic, haven't they?
Right, yeah, I think the detail has evolved a lot.
I'd be very
So,
curious to know what they're coming out with, because that's exciting. That's an all-new model, and what year is that?
This one is a 1973, but just by changing the grill on it, they could go all the way up to 1979, I believe, 1980.
How about that?
Okay.
So, and this is a 1978 truck. This is from our friend Jens Jan that visited us one time.
Oh, you remember him?
Yeah, 3D.
Yeah.
Is that the guy
Yeah.
that we made appear with
You-
the
Yeah.
magic
You
wand?
beamed them up, yeah, or
Yeah,
magic
yeah.
wand, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, enough about the trucks. This is one of the new Intermountain auto racks that I started to butcher up to make it a roofless version, like these ones that I built before. It took a lot of courage to start hacking away at this $100 model, but I think
Wow.
Yeah, that's
I think I know what to do with it. The Western Pacific is going to have no doors and no roof, so I have to rebuild the ends on each side and extend the deck a little bit. And these are 2 Walters models that I did probably close to 20 years ago.
Okay.
When Plano first came out with their auto rack side panels, I converted these Walters kits by cutting out all the material between the posts. It was a long process.
Well, those side panels really do dress up those Walters kits.
Are those
I gotta
Plano?
say,
Is that Plano?
Yeah, these are Plano,
Plano.
panels in here.
Oh,
so
nice.
then this last one, this is the Rock Island rack that
Oh,
everybody.
you got one of those.
Yeah, I got-
How did you
Yeah.
get one of those?
I got connections.
I thought
man.
they were
I got
sold out.
4 of them.
How about you?
Otter
Wow.
Valley Trains. Otter Valley Trains up in Ontario, Canada. They contacted me and they knew I wanted one.
So they sent you 4?
Yeah.
Wow,
Two-
so they
2 for me.
heard you on the show. You were
Right.
sitting right there in that spot. And you said, "Oh, they're all sold out. I didn't
Yeah.
get it." And they sent. Thank
care
you.
of me, yeah.
That is
Yeah.
so
Well, that's
awesome,
great.
right?
he knows
Right.
people.
So,
This is the best hobby in the world with the best people in it.
It
Otter
sure is.
Valley out of Canada.
yeah, Ontario,
Those,
Canada.
hey, I'll just tell you, I've been to that store.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lauren and the guys out there at
Lauren,
Otter
yeah.
Valley, they got a great store. So all of our Canadian friends, be sure to support those guys.
Nice.
Oh, definitely,
All
yeah.
right, thanks, George.
Well, let's give a shout out to Otter Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking care of Mike. We love him too.
Yeah. So I'm not done with this Rock Island rack. This is actually a little incorrect because it didn't have these kind of clamshell doors. They had the trifold doors on the first run of Rock Island Rex. So another friend of mine, Cameron Fleets, who's also another big auto rack head, he reminded me that they're available from Shapeways as a 3D print for the
Hold on a minute.
doors.
Wasn't
So-
the Rock
nice.
Island one the one that Spring Creek did? Spring
Yes.
Creek was the one that was at. Oh, so these guys actually had it in stock
Well, no.
or something.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say anything, but they got sent 6 of them by mistake.
Oh wow.
So he contacted me right away, and
That's a higher power
Oh, yeah.
working
I
for
told
you.
him, I
That's
said
awesome.
Karma was
Karma.
was paying me back for being nice to everybody.
That's awesome. You wanted to ask Jennifer about that locomotive.
Yeah, you've got something on your channel, Jenny. A locomotive that ran for days until
Yeah,
it
that's
finally
right.
stopped. Tell us about that. That was kind of neat.
It was just an idea. I just thought, how long will a model locomotive actually run if you just left it to run and run and run? So I took one of the really budget level locomotives that are available from a company called Hornby, and I set it up on a set of the Rolling Road from DCC Concepts and just left it to run. And it ran 24 hours a day, non-stop. And I think we got up to about 3.5 days before I think what happened was that the carbon on from the brushes gummed up the commutator and caused it to short out. But it was just quite incredible to have this thing. You'd leave it running in the evening, you'd go to bed, and you get up in the morning, and it was still running.
Wow.
And I'd go to work, and then when I came home, it was still there, still chugging away.
Oh, wow.
And, it's quite phenomenal. Nobody really uses these things for that kind of length of time in one go. But I was quite impressed at how long it actually lasted.
Nice.
No, that is amazing. Do you remember the Great Train Store? They had like 18
Yeah.
locations
Yeah.
around the
Mike
United
Kelly was
States.
the-
Mike Kelly was
Mike
there,
Kelly,
yeah,
we love
sure,
Mike
when he
Kelly.
was young.
Give a shout out to Mike Kelly.
Hey, Mike.
He's an awesome. He turned into be a really great man. You know that?
Yep.
And he's publishing a lot of amazing books. And he was in my wedding. But they had a train, at the Great Train Store at Union Station, however many hours a store is open during the day. So maybe 8 in the morning, 10 in the morning, until 10 at night. Every single day of the week, they would run that layout. And the experiences that they would go through. I remember the track on the curves would actually wear down the rail. The turnouts would wear down and have to be replaced. And they would go through locomotives and every 10 days or every X amount of days, they would literally burn up those blue box Athearn units. And they only ran one engine at a time on each train just to keep it simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a undertaking it must be, Jennifer, to be able to run a train like that around the clock. So
Yeah, I mean, in the UK, certainly going back to the 1960s, a company called Hornby 00 apparently actually ran one for something like 65 days. Obviously, things were a lot more robust back then, but they just sort of left it running. I think it was one of their Castle class locomotives, and it managed pretty much 2 months.
Wow.
And going back when I used to go to shows with my father with his layout, he had an old 3-rail electric layout, and those things used to just run and run to the point where we actually wore out the 3rd rail where the pickup skates were going along. We actually wore the track all the way through. And it was quite phenomenal what kind of a mileage these things can actually do.
that's pretty amazing,
wow,
George.
yeah.
We know one thing about George and SoundTraxx. The locomotive might wear out, but the decoders won't.
That's true.
I have this cat at my feet.
Well, while you're looking for the cat, I'll just tell you really quickly. I mean, that's one of the things we do with our Blackstone models, products during the development is we run them. We have a test layout at the office. It's essentially a figure 8, and we just let the locomotive run around it and it ran for, I don't remember now, it was like 4, 5, 6 days, and then we said, okay, it's good. And then we do the same thing with our decoders when we're developing the engineering side of it. Is we'll hook it up to a simulated locomotive and let it run for days straight. So we do endurance test our products before we go into production. So that way you as the modeler don't have to worry about something dying prematurely or anything like that, because we want to give you a good product.
That's awesome.
And then
I must admit, actually, going to work in the industry, I was quite surprised to see just how much testing goes into products. And I must admit, we've got a rig at work where the cobalt point motors that we have, they've got one and it actually counts the number of times it's changed the switch. And it's up to well over 100,000 changes. And it's still changing exactly the same as when it was new. And, that kind of testing to make sure that products are actually fit for purpose for the
Sure.
modeler. It was a real eye-opener for me. I didn't realize just how much companies do.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Hey, James Regier, why do we have all these Amtrak engines on the table tonight?
Well, the 1st of May marked the 50th anniversary since Amtrak took over passenger rail in the United States.
Right.
So that turned out to be a pretty good deal.
Yeah, yeah, it's surviving so far, and hopefully they have new sets of plans drawn up so that hopefully things will improve in the future. That there will be even more services offered.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's some new locomotives and passenger cars. I heard there's some new passenger cars being run around the country and tested right now.
This is true, yeah. In fact, for the Illinois-Missouri system, that they have brand new passenger cars built by Siemens that they'll be testing out. They match these Charger locomotives pretty well. So I'd guess we'll just have to listen. It'll be only a matter of time before Bachmann produces some of those to match their Charger.
That's true. If this cat rubs on the wrong wires and disconnects the
kidding.
computer, I'm going to be upset. You got it. She just dropped and rolled. I can't help that. James, you've been 3D printing a lot of neat stuff, and you've been working on a locomotive, and you called me up Thursday and said my 3D printer quit working, that my UV light
The
went out.
UV light monitor, right? So the way these 3D printers work, it's stereolithography, and you have a UV LCD monitor that basically shines up into the resin and prints each layer as it goes up. Well, the problem with this monitor, it's considered a consumable part. One, because the UV is hard on the electronic parts. I mean, UV is tough on just about everything. But the other thing is that in the leveling process, to level that plate against the monitor, you actually have to push it down to 0.1 millimeter from the monitor. So it's very easy to go a little bit too far and put that monitor under pressure. And electronics do not like that kind of pressurization. And so it was producing all these static lines, and I can produce photos of that for you, Ken. But it was producing these white noise lines that would be reproduced when I try and go and print models. And it was pretty strange.
But before it failed, you created this wonderful locomotive you're working on, which is a Santa Fe one-only locomotive that they had in Claiborne, Texas. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this is the Santa Fe 1460, the Beep. What Santa Fe did about 1974, their Baldwin locomotives were getting fairly old, and they were needing to replace them. Baldwin was no longer in the locomotive building business, but they wanted to keep the end cab switcher. And they'd been building a whole bunch of GP7s into GP7Us and F7s into CF7s. And so they thought, why don't we just take a 567 prime mover, an EMD alternator, and put that onto this Baldwin switcher. And so the result was this Beep, the SWBLW for SW Baldwin Locomotive Works 1, I think they called it. But the fans called it Beep because it's a Baldwin and it's a Jeep, so Beep. So the idea was to try and build they fabricated a GP7 style hood for this unit, and they put it on Blomberg trucks instead of the AAR trucks, and they were going to try and convert this into a road switcher. This was an experiment that they were going to then follow up by converting all their Alco switchers and all their Fairbanks Morris switchers and anything else that they had that was not EMD standards, that they would be upgrading them. They went through this Beep. About halfway through, they decided, we are replacing every single thing on this locomotive. It's not going to be economical, and so we're not going to continue. So this remained a one-off. But it was the longest serving end cab switcher on the Santa Fe and then later on the BNSF. It lasted up until the early 2000s when it was finally retired as a shop switcher in Topeka and Kansas City. So I've been basically designing everything needed, including the frame, the hood, and the cab, to fit it onto a Bowser VO1000 chassis. And the remaining challenge that I'm working on is to try and get a Kato GP35 Blomberg truck set to fit into the slot made for the VO1000 trucks.
Okay.
And it's a longer wheelbase, and that wouldn't be so bad because that's all under the frame. But you have the worm tower, which is actually bigger on the Blomberg Kato GP130 or GP35 than it is on the Baldwin. So I've been going back to Blender and messing around with the 3D graphics, trying to get a better match. And I've been trying to design gears to simulate just how it all would all mesh.
Wow.
Because you take one of these towers and you change the internal shape of it, and then suddenly the gears aren't going to line up right anymore. So it's kind of a first-hand experience of what some of these manufacturers are going through when they try and design and build a locomotive. And since there was only one of these that was ever made, I see very well why Bowser hasn't decided to make their own version of it. So,
not possible.
It wouldn't be feasible. So at any rate, at some point, when I get this all perfected and figured out to a point that's satisfactory to me, I'll probably make them available on Shapeways or something else so that folks that want to do the same can do so with their models.
Good job. Are you making a What's Neat video on that?
Once I've got the print finalized, I will start doing a What's Neat video to show how I light it and detail it. I've designed it to take detail parts from Cannon and Company and from Kaiser Valley models. So it'll have a lot of etched metal on there.
Okay. So that was a yes.
Yeah.
Okay, right before we started the show, we did our countdown. 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
And the electric went off in the room. So we actually had to restart the show tonight. So thank you, folks, for being so patient with us, George and Jenny. I'm going to give a shout out to Skype Land one more time. We're coming to an end on this one, guys. We're at 34 minutes. George and Jenny, anything else to follow up on?
The only thing I can think, I'm just saying, with having George from SoundTraxx on, I thought I'd give you a blast. I've got one of your decoders actually in. I'll try and start it up. So it's actually one of your economy decoders for. I'll turn that off because it's quite noisy. But just saying, I really do love the economy decoders that you do for the UK market, because you've got the ones where you kind of pick the different locomotive in the CV settings. And I just wanted to say it's a really great product.
What's the prime mover in that one?
It's English Electric. I think it's a 12-cylinder.
Oh, okay, cool.
Wow. I am so impressed with your knowledge, Jennifer.
Look at that. It was uncued and everything. That's exactly what I was about to say in honor of you, to make sure that your UK fans knew about the UK economies. We call it economy. It's a play on the words tsunami and economy. So it looks like economy, but it's, we pronounce it economy. But as long as you guys are happy with it, we're happy with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a really great sound. I've got some other Class 37s decoders from different manufacturers, but I really do love that. And the fact that it's at a price point, which is about half the price that you would pay for other brands, it's just got everything going for it.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll have to coordinate at some point and come back over, visit you, and get some more sounds recorded so we can do some more for you.
Yeah, definitely. There's some locomotives which are just crying out for a sound decoder to go with them.
Oh, that would be awesome, George. You could lodge at Jennifer's house.
Yeah, we got a spare room.
There we go. There we go.
All right, guys. Inside the room, one more time. Did we cover everything tonight, guys? Michelle, Steve, good luck with your train show this weekend.
Thank you for
all
your help.
We'll report on next week's show on how that turned out. Mike, I love it when you bring your stuff.
Thanks.
Let's go through the room. Mike, George, Bogatiuk, Jennifer Kirk, Michele Patterson. Stephen Mantia, James Regier, thank you very much for reporting on your project. Happy birthday, Amtrak. And guys, we're going to take our NCE Power Cab, which is not on the table right now, and we are going to go run some trains, right? Let's do that.
Yeah, let's run
Sounds
out
like
there.
a good idea.
So I said, that's fine. Yeah, wouldn't that be great? You got your car paid for, your college, your food, your rent. Nobody's that for me, so I'm glad we can do it for him. I'm glad we can send him out into the world. No debt, and a good education.
Oh yeah, well I thought I'd have to go to the lately the price of new truck
Now, I must admit, debt's always scared me. The idea, I mean, I've got mortgage